Alright, welcome back. This is part 11 of the Asteroids video series, and this time we're going to be doing is creating a shield for our ship. You see, as it's shown now, if our ship gets hit by the enemy bullet, a shield raises up, and you'll see on the right side of the screen that there is a shield meter that's showing that the shield is being depleted, and after about 4 hits, it is knocked out. And then the shield will also protect this ship against asteroids as well. Let me run into this asteroid. You can see the shield will pop on for a second, then the ship will be destroyed. There. But you see it popped on for a second. So let's reset the game and I'll show you what I'm better talking about with the asteroids. See, I can, if I have enough shield, see the shield will take out the asteroid as well. But even then, the big asteroids will take out more of the shield. Let me hit a big one there, you'll see it. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So we're going to do the 3 parts here: the shield there, everybody's interaction with the shield, and the health bar here on the side that shows the health of the shield. So as usual, we have to start off with a sprite here. So I'm going to create a new sprite. Go up to the top here, go to create, and we are going to call this SPR shield. We're going to import our image, and it's going to be this shield image right there. Click open, and we're going to make it middle center just like before. Let me zoom out here. And we're going to get make sure that's middle center, and again with the collision mask we're going to go with this time we can go with a just a ellipse. Okay. Alright. Okay, next we're going to create an object for the shield. So just down here, right click, create object shield. Oops. Yeah, I spelled that right. Object shield in there. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set some beginning variables for it. This is going to be used to set its strength and its visibility. We want it to be the shield to be invisible, even though it's there. We want it to be invisible when the game starts. So let's do it. Let me do the compression here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so again, I'm just going to call this set strength. And then, so the first thing I want to do is make it invisible when the game starts, and that is controlled by a variable called image alpha, which we've done with before with the explosion and the bullets to get them to fade away. We want it to start at 0. That means it's going to be transparent. Then I want to, this next one we haven't done yet before, this is called depth, and what this does is control what is shown on top of other things. So if I want something to be shown on top of everything else, like this shield, I want to show it above our ship, I've got to use the smaller the number, the closer it is to the viewer, basically. So I'm going to use -200. Everything by default is on layer 0, or is at depth of 0. So if I put -200, that's going to guarantee that that shield is going to go above the ship. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do, I'm going to set a variable called strength. And what this is just how the strength of our shield. I'm going to use 100 because the health bar functions on a system of 100%. So we will we'll stick with that. Okay, now we're gonna set it so that if the shield gets hit by something, it will deplete its strength here. So we're going to do the simplest one first. Doing the asteroids is a little bit more complex, but we will do that first here. We're going to add event collision with the enemy bullet. So if it gets hit by the enemy bullet, these things are going to happen to it. First thing we want to do is, I'm not going to worry about this description right now. First thing we're going to do is going to have it, when the shield gets hit by something, it's going to click on, it's going to light up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set its image alpha now to equals 1. This means it's going to be fully visible. And if it gets hit by an enemy, bullet, it's going to reduce the strength by 25 points or 25%. Oops, I got to go minus equals, sorry. Minus equals 25. Okay. So if it gets hit by a bullet, it loses 25% of its strength. So that means it can take four hits from the enemy bullet before it gets destroyed. Then we want to destroy the enemy bullet. If we don't destroy it, it's just going to keep pounding it until and it'll just bore through it and destroy it. So we want to instance destroy. Okay, so that's all that's going to happen there. When the enemy bullet gets hit, it's going to destroy it. Now, I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to do the same thing for the asteroid. So I'm going to just, with that selected, I'm going to right-click and go Duplicate Event, this time collision with the asteroid. Okay, now the asteroid is going to be a little bit more complex to program because we want the large asteroids to do more damage than the small asteroids. So on the strength part here, we have to go if object asteroid dot image sprite index equals SPR asteroid LG. Let me widen this up a little bit. Then we'll say for this, if that happens, we'll say strength. If it gets hit by a big asteroid, we'll make it knock out half of its shield. Okay. Now, some of you may be wondering why I put 2 equal signs here. I should have been doing this all along in if statements. In most programming languages, if you use an if statement and you're saying if something equals something else, you have to use double equals. In GameMaker, you don't have to, but it's a good habit to get used to. I think in a few places I have not been doing this, so just and again, you only do this in if statements. If this is equal, if something equals something else, you put double equal there. All right, so I'm going to just duplicate this. I'm going to copy these 4 lines of code, copy, and then I'm going to paste them twice for my different asteroids style. So I'm going to change this one to medium and this one to small. And then so now I can say, okay, so medium one will do, we'll see, what's a quarter of that? We'll do about 12. And then a small one will only do about, so let's say 5. Something like that. So the smaller asteroids won't do nearly as much damage as the larger asteroids. Okay, so that's all we got to do with that. Okay, now in the sample game here, you'll notice that when the ship gets hit, when the shield gets hit, it comes on and then it kind of fades out. So that's what we're going to go for. This next step is what's going to make that shield fade out and then destroy itself when it is out of strength, so that you become vulnerable to the bullets. So to do that, this is going to happen in the step event. Okay, so we go add event, step, zoom in here. And what we're going to do is, well, let's call this fade and destroy. Fade and destroy. And there are actually two different functions, but or two different things happening here, but both things will happen in here. First thing was going to first part's going to be we're just going to call it fade. And what we're going to do is if the image alpha of our shield is greater than 0, then we want our image alpha, we want to lower our image alpha, so we're going to go minus equals, and we're going to put a pretty small number here. We're going to put, because we don't want it to fade too quickly, and especially running at 60 steps per second, it can go pretty quick. So I'm going to make it 0.02. That means it'll lose all of that visibility just 0.2 at a time. So it'll take a couple seconds for it to fade away completely. All right, next, and then let me close this out here. Oop, wrong bracket. Okay, and then the next part, this is destroy. So I'm going to give a whoops. This will destroy Troy shield. Okay, so now this one is fairly logical. If strength is less than 0, instance destroy. Okay. Now again, this is one of the situations where you can't really test this until it's all done. So that's why I haven't been showing what it should look like yet, or see if it's working. So we'll do that in a minute here. All right. Next, we have to get it so that the shield follows the ship. So we're going to add an event, and we're going to do a step event, but this time we're going to do an in step. If we don't put this on the in step, what happens is the shield will lag behind the ship just a little bit. The in step is one of the last things that happens each step. So all this other stuff will happen, but the in step is one of the last things that happen. This makes sure that the sprites for the ship and the sprites for the shield are aligned with each other. So I'm just going to call this follow ship. And first of all, we're going to go, if there is a ship, instance exists object ship. Then we want the X value. Let me do this again. I'm getting out of the habit of doing this. We want the X value of the shield to match the X value of the ship. And same with the Y value. Oops, not you. Y equals object ship dot Y. Okay. Well, what happens if there is no ship? If there is no ship, there's no need for a shield. So if there is no ship, we want to destroy the shield. Instance destroy. Okay, so again, what that does is simply when the ship is if the ship is there and the shield is there, then the shield will go to wherever the ship is at the end of every step. All right, the next thing we need to do is we need to get it so that when the game starts, the shield is created at some point. So we can, one way to do that is just on the ship itself. When the ship is created, we can have it also create a shield. So let me get this shrunk down so we can put the code in fairly easily. So again, we want to go to the create event. Again, make sure you are in the ship object. Go to the create event of the ship object. And there we are going to add a code that will create the shield. And again, just like we've done before, instance create layer x comma y comma, so we want to create the shield right where the ship is, and it's gonna go in the instances layer, and we're creating the object shield. Now make sure you put shield here. Just in my experience, a lot of people, they're so used to typing ship that they end up typing ship there. Okay, now I think we may be able to try it now. And just now we're at a point where we can check for errors. Okay, it seems good so far. Let's see if we get an enemy here. Oh, here he comes. Okay, let's see if our shield works. Nope, went right through him. Okay, let's see what the problem is. Alright, let's see what the problem is. We did not set the sprite for the shield, so the shield is not visible at all anyway. So come down here to Object Shield. This is something we should have done at the first part here. And right here where it's where you set the sprite, click that. Okay, so now the shield is showing. Alright, let's try it again. We can also test it against the ship of the asteroid. Yep, there it goes. You see it got destroyed. Let's make sure it works against the enemy ship's bullets. We shall wait here patiently until the ship shows up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Shield works. Let's see, it should be able to get hit by 2, 3, 4. This should be the last one. Oh, let's see, it was the last one. Okay, so now one more shot and it should die. Oh, our ship is not being damaged by the bullets. Okay, so now let's look at our ship. Did we forget something? We sure did. We don't have a collision with the enemy bullets. So let's look at our asteroids. Okay, so we can. This is a real simple fix. All we got to do is just duplicate event, or duplicate the asteroid, collision with the asteroid to collision with the enemy bullet. And the same thing should happen here. And it looks like I need to work on some of the timing because I'm getting too many enemy ships in at one spot. I should have their life, or either speed them up or have their life shortened a little bit. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, should we take one more? There you go. Oh, didn't destroy. Okay, we do have to add one thing in here. We got a with other. Okay. All right. So we'll just assume that works. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is we need to get it so that it draws our health bar on the side of the screen there. Now it's kind of involved code here, so I'm just going to type it up, and then I will go through and explain what it all means. All right, to do that, we are going to program the controller to draw the health bar. So go ahead and open up the controller object. And we're going to add one more thing on the controller because we want this health bar to be drawn on top of everything else. So at the very end, or you could do it at the beginning, it really doesn't matter. It's just somewhere in the create event. We're going to set its depth equals -1000. This will make sure that anything drawn by this object will be on top of everything else. Okay. So now the event we're going to need for this is called a draw event. Anytime you want to draw anything on the screen, lines or shapes or text or anything like that, you have to use a draw event. So we're going to go add event, draw. Okay. So I'm going to go just draw health bars. We're going to have another health bar in here later, so I'm just going to leave that as health bars. All right, so now this code, this has got a fairly complex function in it that does this. But first thing we got to do is we got to see if there is a shield. If instance exists object shield. Okay, so if the shield exists, then I'm gonna get back in the habit of putting my brackets here like I should. All right, so if the shield does exist, we want to draw the health bar. We don't want to draw a solid health bar. We want to draw one that's a little bit transparent here. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw set alpha. What this function does is sets the alpha or the transparency of anything that is drawn after this point. And I'm just going to set it to 50 or 0.5, which is 50%. So it'll be 50% transparent. And again, if it's too visible, you can lower that number. If it's too transparent, you can increase that number. All right. So now here is the function that's going to actually draw the health bar. Draw a health bar, and then you're going to draw the x and y coordinates of one corner. And so I'm going to go, I want it to appear on the right side of the room, so I'm going to go room width minus, I'm going to compress this a little bit so we can have a little more room here. Room width minus 30, and then 20 from the top of the room. That's what those two numbers mean. And make sure I got a comma here. Now I would normally type this as a big long string here of all the different things, but I'm going to type it this way so that I can explain things as I go, and I'm going to indent in kind of a strange way to make it happen. So the next coordinates is the coordinates of the other corner, the x and y value of where the other corner is. Now I'm going to go minus 20 this time. So that's going to get the difference between these two is how thick that health bar is going to be. So it's going to be 10 pixels wide. And then the height, instead of being 20 from the top of the room, I want it to be 20 from the bottom of the room. So it's going to go across the entire up and down the entire right side almost of the room. And again, don't forget this comma at the end here. So this is your one set of coordinates, x and y values for one corner. This is your x and y value for the other corner, and that basically draws you a rectangle. Okay. The next item that's going to go in there, this is the value that's going to be shown on the health bar. Object shield dot strength. This is the strength value. This is why I chose 100 to be the strength, because this scale measures strength. So if it's at 50, the health bar will be only drawn halfway. Okay, now this next line is setting the background color of our health bar. Now this really doesn't mean anything because our health bar, we're not going to draw the background color. But again, as I showed you before, when you're doing functions, there's this little helper thing right here that helps you understand what you're doing. So so we just did back color right there. That's what back call means, back color. And then I'm going to go to the next line here. This is the color of the minimum value. So if we're at the low end of our health bar, we're out of shield, this is what is going to be the color for that. Now this aqua is the color that I chose, and I want the whole thing to be the same color, so I want the max color to be the same. Okay, and if you want to pick a different color, just go C underscore, and you see a whole list of colors here that you can choose from. And then again, make sure you got that one down. This 3 controls the direction in which the health bar fills. If 3 goes from, I can't remember all the different directions, but I know 3 goes from the low values at the bottom, high values at the top. And again, I'd have to look up to find exactly what that does. Okay, so now this next one here says show back. Remember how we set the background color right here to black? This value here tells you whether you're going to show that or not. I decided not to show it, so I'm going to put false here. That means don't show it. No, so no matter what color I made this right here, it wouldn't show regardless. So I could make that pink if I wanted to, and it wouldn't matter. So this shows whether the background's going to be drawn. This black background for the health bar is going to be drawn. I'm saying no. And then the last thing is show border. What this does is draws a black line around the active part of the health bar. So if it's at 50%, it'll have a black outline around the 50%. And then I just end it with a parenthesis like that. And the last thing I want to do is I want to go at the beginning here again and I want to set my drawing alpha back to 1, just in case something somewhere along the line needs to get drawn again. I don't want it being drawn at half speed. Okay, now I'm gonna pause here for a second, and I've got an extra little thing up there. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to put some notes on the side here. And it's up to you if you want to put them or not, but I would recommend that you do. That way you can come back and change things that you need to. Okay, so just hang tight for a second, and they will magically appear through the magic of television. Okay, here is all the code here that will draw that health bar and what each line actually means. Again, here's the x and y value of one corner, the x and y value of the other corner, the shield or the value that's being shown in the health bar, color of the health bar background, color of low and high end of the health bar, and direction the health bar is drawn, and whether or not to draw the background or draw a black outline of the health bar. Again, this is optional to put in there. I would put it in there just so you can come back later on and change the colors and play with some of the settings on it. Okay, that is, well, let's test it first, and then we'll see if that's the end. We'll see if it gets drawn correctly. There we go. There's our health bar. And we'll see if, well, let's run into this asteroid and see what happens. Oops. Let's break it down a little bit here so I don't get so damaged here. Yep. Okay, so now I got no health bar, and oh, there I die. Okay. All right, so that's it for now, and stay tuned for the next tutorial video.